Hi everybody, and welcome again to Nerd to the Third Power, your one-stop shop for all things nerdy and awesome. I am your host and master of ceremonies, Dr. Gonzo. With me, as always, in this epic quest of awesomeness is our resident anime goddess, the Cat. Cat, how you doing?
I am actually recording from a new microphone, so here's hoping it turns out alright.
The new equipment jitters.
Yes.
And in our other co-pilot's chair, looking kind of ready to head off to the land of Nod, is our resident English person, Skyblaze. Skyblaze, how are you doing?
Huh? What? Oh, hello. Hello. I don't have a new microphone, but I do have some new boots. I bought a pair of huge stompy goth boots for very cheap. I'm quite pleased with myself.
Or as Cat calls them, bitch stomping boots.
Yeah, that too. For those who know what I'm talking about, they're flame pattern new rocks. They're very cool.
Okay, and Brian, you're looking kind of lonely there at the correspondence table.
Well, yeah, just me right now, and I've actually woken up from the land of Nod, and I have no new microphone or no new boots.
Oh, that's sad.
Okay, we got a great show for you tonight. Tonight we're discussing Fantastic Four, the third attempt in recent memory to turn the comic characters into a successful film franchise.
Technically fourth.
Technically fourth, yeah. There's the Roger Corman.
Well, yeah.
But the less said about that, the better. So, it seems to have kind of fizzled out. So, we're going to be examining that and all that goes with that. But first, of course, there's procedure to follow. So we're going to begin, as always, with Ask a Geek. And first question here is from Matt, and he wrote to me, he addressed me, he wrote, "Dear Gonzo, I've sent you my question in 5 times now, and you've never read it on the air. What the hell gives?" You know what? Why don't we just skip that one?
What was the question?
That was it. That was literally all he wrote.
That was the only question? Oh, do we know what the other question was? We're sorry?
Sorry, I guess you didn't include it in this email, so send it again, and we'll read it out next week.
Put it on our Facebook. I've been posting threads, whatever's on Facebook, so that we can actually find our questions with ease. So post it on Facebook, and we'll get to it. Now I'm really curious as to what the question was.
Well, the answer's always bacon.
Or 42. Okay, next question here comes from the Facebook, and it is from Timothy, and he asked, "Kat, what did you think about Emma becoming the new Dark One at the end of Once Upon a Time last season?"
Wow, spoilers! I haven't actually watched any of last season. Although I read the spoilers online because that show was really starting to bore me in the last season, so I really was having such a hard time sitting through it. I really think that show has nowhere left to go. I love it, but it's really struggling to find ways to keep the show interesting. But I guess, hey, good for Rumple, because now he can go do stuff. I don't know, I haven't seen it, so I don't know exactly what's gonna happen with him, because he's my favorite character, and Emma is like, whatever, Emma. It's kind of interesting, though, because Dark Emma is something that we're kind of just waiting for the inevitable. You know, like, it was always gonna happen, because they can't keep any character good or bad. There's no consistency there, so I think it's interesting. I think it's also a little bit desperate.
Okay. Second question here comes from Gregory, also from the Facebook, and he asks, he doesn't address it, but I know who it's for. He writes, "I've heard anime be used as a term to describe shows made from other Asian countries other than Japan that are done in a similar style, and I've heard people specify Japanese anime. So is anime defined by country, region, or style? And depending on your answer, where is The Last Airbender classified?" I think we can assume he means the television show and not the M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Okay.
Anything we say at this point is going to ignite a flame war that will, like, ignite a conflagration across the entirety of the world.
Right. Okay. Go to depth.
Hey, I have an answer. Thank you. So the answer is there is no right or wrong answer. If you want to be as true to the definition of anime as possible, anime is a shortened, the term anime is a shortened form of the way that the Japanese would pronounce animation. And in Japan, if you watch any kind of cartoon, whether it is made in Japan or not, they call that anime. Anime is very specifically in this country, in America, used to describe Japanese animation. But I don't know that that's right. I mean, it's kind of what you and your friends who talk about anime agree upon, because I don't really think that there is a right or wrong answer. I don't know that if Korea makes a great show that we're going to call that Korean anime, or, you know, Koreamation, or some bullshit phrase like that. And certainly anime cannot be restricted to, oh, well, it looks like anime. It's the style, because there is no one style that defines anime. Anime all looks different. Well, I mean, not Fairy Tail and One Piece, but that's beside the point. There really is no right or wrong answer. Just go with what you and your friends agree upon, and if anybody starts to give you shit about it, then fuck them, because it seems kind of stupid to make a big deal about it.
Well, there's also things like, going back to the 80s, the things like the DIC co-productions, which were Japanese and French. So things like Mysterious Cities of Gold and Ulysses 31, and a lot of things from that era, which were written by mostly French people, but drawn in Japan. So
yeah, there's a lot of instances where a toy company in America paid Japan to animate something for American audiences, hence stuff like Transformers. While animated in Japan, we consider it an American cartoon. Legend of Korra, created and storyboarded and all that other stuff in the US, animated in Korea. Hell, a shit ton of anime is animated in Korea. Like Japanese cartoons, animated in Korea.
Family Guy, animated in Korea. Wrap your head around that. Family Guy is an anime.
Well, that depends on who you ask, apparently. I'm over it. Like, maybe once upon a time I would have sat there and argued about it. Anime is not cartoons, but honestly, whatever you decide is right is what's right for you. But I would not recommend giving people shit over how they choose to define anime, because, again, I really don't think there is a right or wrong answer at this point.
And the last question comes from frequent offender Bima Cashman, and he asks for everybody on the show, what is your dream TV show? So, your gasp of excitement tells me that you have an answer.
I always answer this, but it really is my dream TV show. My dream TV show is Aaron Sorkin and Joss Whedon get together and write a TV space drama, political drama about the Star Trek Federation, United Federation of Planets. That's my dream show. I want the West Wing, but with space.
Okay.
I would like Star Trek, only not sucking.
Wow. Okay. Brian, what about you?
I have no idea what my dream TV show would actually ever be. To be quite honest with you, that's something I've actually never sat down and really thought about. I know it's a terrible answer to give.
Okay.
And that's where the answer ends.
Well, let's see. What would I guess that leaves it to me now. Okay, what would my dream TV series be? Actually, you know what I've been reading a comic series called Transmetropolitan, which is I got into it as a jump off of my idolization of Hunter S. Thompson, who was a journalist, from whom I took my name. Yeah. It's an awesome comic series, that's what I'm saying. And I've always thought that it would be a great television series. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, Transmetropolitan is about this sort of outlawed, this Hunter S. Thompson outlawed journalist character in the far future, basically using his writing and his journalism skills to bring down a corrupt presidency. And my dream, one of the reasons why I love it is the main character, Spider Jerusalem, he's one of those characters who he's fighting for the right and the truth, but he personally is just such a fucking bastard.
Yep.
And I think, with, all these, now that we're seeing all these comic book series, all these comic book shows coming out, Daredevil, Flash, Walking Dead, I really think that a Transmetropolitan series would be awesome to watch, and would be especially timely, given at least the American political landscape for the last couple decades. I think that would be really awesome to see. As far as casting, this is going to sound really weird, but I would love to see Patrick Stewart play Spider Jerusalem. I think that
He's
would be
so desperate to do
hysterical.
it. He's so desperate because he's such a huge Transmet fan. And he's gone on record several times going, let me play Spider. Hello? Are you listening? I want to play Spider Jerusalem. Jumps up and down. Hello?
Failing that, because let's admit, let's just be honest here. When we think Patrick Stewart, first person we think of is like Captain Picard or Professor X or some kind of distinguished gentleman. So, and I knowing Hollywood casting agents, they're probably going to see that too, and like, oh no, he can't be a drug abusing outlaw journalist. No. So, failing that, I would say let's throw a big bag of money at Johnny Depp, because he's played Hunter S. Thompson characters before and was really good at it, so I think Johnny Depp would also kill as Spider Jerusalem.
I think he might get a bit too into character, though, is the only thing that worries me.
Yeah. Depp is a known method actor, and don't want him kind of going the way of Heath Ledger there.
Nope.
So, but yeah, that's my answer. I would love to see a Transmetropolitan TV series, or failing a multi-season series. You know what? Give me like a made-for-TV movie based off the first volume.
Or a miniseries.
Ooh, that too.
Probably do a fairly good miniseries out of it.
Netflix, are you listening? Call Warren.
Or Amazon, they'll do as well.
Call Warren Ellis. Get on this shit. Alright, but that's all the Ask Geek questions that we have for this week. As always, you can send them to us through the email at billysmith@channelawesome.com, or you can throw them up on the Facebook threads. We love hearing your questions, love reading them out on the air. And to Matt, yeah, send us your question again, and we'll answer it this time. Unless it's like, something like ridiculously dumb and stupid, like, what's our bathing suit size or something, in which case, no, we're not reading that, but whatever.
You wouldn't be the first to ask, though.
Not by far. Not by far. And with that, we're going to jump right into the headlines this week, starting with Brian, because he's literally the only one of our correspondents here. So, Brian, take it away.
Thank you, and welcome to this week's Multiverse Headlines. It's gonna be a quick discussion here, is that I'm still in sort of the no news, dead news, post-con area. That sentence sounded better in my head. Anyway, I do have two bits of news for you this week. First up is actual comic book news. Yes, I still do that every so often. And it's from Marvel. Marvel's all-new, all-different Blade comic, which was announced several weeks ago, has now been delayed for an unknown amount of time. When the comic was announced, there was a bit of controversy behind the creative team doing it. Does this go to the delay? I don't know for sure. It could be that a lot of the Secret War storylines have been delayed, and that just might be delaying some of the books that want to debut at the time that the mega event ends. Who knows? I have no other information to give you. But moving on over to DC and the DC TV news, because that's really the only thing I've got going on right now for them until they do another big relaunch of some kind, is that good news. If you're fans of Constantine, the TV show that short-lived on NBC, if you're a fan of just Matt Ryan playing Constantine, congratulations, you're in luck, because the character, with the same actor, will be returning to TV, just not in his own television show. He will be showing up as a guest star on the new season of Arrow. And the Arrow new season, so what the news I've gotten, is going to be a big revamp of the show in general. Maybe even call him Green Arrow. You never know. But anyway, that's all the news I have for you guys this week. I'm going to turn things over to my next colleague and have them finish up their headlines. Take it away.
Kamen Rider actor Izumi Masayuki passed away July 28th. He debuted in the 2002 live-action Gokusen series and gained notoriety as Kiba Yuji in the 2003 Kamen Rider 555 Tokusatsu series, a role he later reprised in the Kamen Rider 555 Paradise Lost film. Izumi had been inactive in the industry while undergoing medical treatment since 2011 due to an unspecified illness. He was 35. The Dragon Ball Z Resurrection of F film debuted last week at the number 6 spot, earning $1,967,626 on its opening night. As of this recording, the film has earned $5.97 million in the US and Canada, making it the 8th highest grossing anime film ever in the US. Worldwide, it's earned over $58 million, which is kind of awesome for an anime movie. If you got to watch The Resurrection of F-Film and really super enjoyed the music, most of it is on iTunes now. Momohiro Clover Z's Pledge of Z, which is the English version of Zeno Chikai, along with Zeno Chikai, and the instrumental version, and Momohiro Clover Z's cover of Chala Hechala and Romantic Kongaragateru, all on iTunes now. Go check it out. And finally, Last Gasp Publishing has launched a Kickstarter campaign to raise funds for a publication of Nakazawa Keiji's Barefoot Gen manga. They're hoping to earn $36,000 by September 10th and print 4,000 hardcover copies. Last Gasp has published Barefoot Gen in the past, but the purpose of this campaign is specifically to donate the books to schools and libraries. If you donate, you can have the manga donated to your school of choice, or you can let Last Gasp pick a school for you. Or they can send you the book and let you donate it in person. Kind of awesome. Some of the donor amounts will actually provide enough books to a school to supply an entire classroom. There will be 4 volumes total for the publication. Now, Kat, you might be thinking, why would we put manga in schools? What's up with Barefoot Gen? Okay, so if you don't know, you haven't heard me talk about it on the show before, Barefoot Gen is the semi-autobiographical story based on Nakazawa's experiences following the bombing of Hiroshima. I know we usually turn to Grave of the Fireflies for a sad World War II story out of Japan, but Barefoot Gen is very specifically about the ramifications of a nuclear bomb destroying everything you know and everyone you love. While the manga is probably unsettling to a lot of people, it's considered a very important piece of media. First off, it keeps the history alive. Second, it serves as an anti-war, anti-nuclear proliferation piece. It tells a story that, frankly, very few people live to tell. And with this month being the 70th anniversary of the bombing, and the danger of nuclear war kind of as strong as ever, the need for understanding of the actual human toll is pretty important. Barefoot Gen will probably make some waves if this Kickstarter goes through and a bunch of schools and libraries start getting it. It doesn't exactly hold back from the disquieting and often graphic reality of being burned half to death and dying of radiation sickness, but hey, that's reality. If it sounds like something you want to support, head over to Kickstarter.com and search for Last Gasp. They've got over $14,000 pledged already and less than a month left to go. That's all I've got going on in the anime and manga world. Let's turn it over to Dr. Gonzo for some hopefully less depressing news.
And that's all the headlines that we have for this week. We're going to take a quick music break. When we come back, Fantastic Four. It's a movie.
Oi!
That's really all we can really say about it.
Fantastic Four.
It exists. It's a film. I haven't seen it because I have better things to do with my time and money. Like watch paint dry, polish my shoes, brush my hair.
Well, hang on. Let's not spoil the review just yet. We're going to take a quick music break. We'll be right back.
私は空を見てた
right, and we are back. And this past weekend saw the release of what is probably the least anticipated film of this year. I say that only because we all knew ahead of time that Pixels was going to be a shitburger, and we had our preemptive hate going. Whereas Fantastic Four, we were just kind of like, oh god, this again. So, yeah, we all went to see it this past weekend, and this is the point where we're going to discuss it. And I gotta say, not a whole lot of substance to this movie. So, but first, Brian, for the 4 people who have never heard of the Fantastic Four, don't know what the hell we're talking about, why don't you give us some brief background on this film and a brief rundown of the plot, such as it is.
Alright, the Fantastic Four was first created in 1961 by Marvel Comics, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby creation. And this film doesn't represent anything that they did. So you can put that to the side. So in this film, we have a Reed Richards, a younger cast in general. And he's a super smart genius boy who wants to teleport things to another dimension, as super smart genius boys, I guess, want to do. We get quick intel into him meeting his best friend Ben Grimm, who at the time was working in his family's junkyard, and they are like, all right, we're now best friends, and they move into, I'm assuming, high school years, but they make it very vague, of him creating a mini teleporter, and then the Baxter people by Franklin Storm and Sue Storm come by. I'm like, that's amazing, you're gonna work for us now, okay. And he starts working for them, and they meet Victor Von Doom. If this sounds boring, it's because the film was kind of boring. Just to let you know, a lot of things are sort of is moving back and forth. In the end, they all get their powers in some way, shape, or form. Johnny Storm shows up, and he becomes Human Torch. We get the Thing, get Reed Richards, you get the Invisible Girl. And then Doctor Doom shows up and tries to destroy the planet out of nowhere with a magic science black hole thing. Yeah.
And throughout the whole thing, the military is like, we're going to lock these people up with powers and try and turn them into Black Ops operatives, which, I'll talk about that a bit later. But, yeah, I'm going to just put all my cards on the table before we start getting into the review. I'm kind of I went into this movie somewhat biased because I've never liked the Fantastic Four. I've always found them to be very boring as characters, and so this movie was just kind of, I guess, coming in with confirmation bias on this. That said, I mean, the movie wasn't good at all. That's the only context in which this movie and good will appear in the same sentence. But at the same time, and this may just be damning with faint praise, I really didn't see what there was in this movie that got everybody so, worked up into a frothing frenzy. It was just like, it was boring, really. That's my general thoughts on the film. It was just boring.
Like I was explaining to you a little bit before the show when you sort of mentioned it, is that the fan base behind the Fantastic Four is very loyal to the characters, to the team, to the book, and it's a great fan base. After, the first 2 films that 20th Century Fox put out, they were upset and annoyed. This one, they finally brought out the torches. This is the one that sort of straw that broke the camel back in sort of the situation. This is where this film was going to launch think pieces for the rest of the year of what they did wrong. That's how bad it was. I've already seen 3 of them in the last week, and I'm like, holy shit.
So, Kat, what were your general thoughts on the film?
I guess I saw so many really horrendously bad reviews. It was like, this is the worst movie ever made. That I went into it like, oh my god, this is going to be a giant shit fest. And then I went into it and I'm like, this isn't the worst movie I've ever seen. I have actually seen worse movies before, but I usually don't pay for them.
Yeah, I want to just say to all the people who've told me that Fantastic Four is the worst movie this year, unless you've seen Pixels, you can shut the fuck up right now about Fantastic Four being the worst movie this year.
There's an argument going online which of those two were which of this film or the Pixels is the worst film of the year so far. Are we really that bored?
Oh my god. Yes, nerds need something to complain about.
That's how little was in this movie that we've got to go back to complaining about Pixels to pad the discussion.
Yeah, but... Yeah, Kat, go on.
it's that Pixels was aggressively offensive to the people that it was trying to cater to, whereas Fantastic Four was just like, oh, something happened, but I'm not really sure what it was because I fell asleep.
Yeah, can I ask you guys something? Because this is something that I was kind of ruminating on as we went up to this. But am I the only one who, as they were watching this movie, felt like there was nothing really at risk in this film? Like, I never really felt like there was, like, yeah, okay, Doctor Doom is a bad guy, and he's, you know, kind of, he wants to destroy the world, but I never got any real sense of, you know, him being a real danger to the world. So, if I might crib a line from Yahtzee, as the blind butcher once said, I don't have a feel for the stakes.
I definitely felt like there really weren't any stakes, but I kind of also felt like there really weren't any characters either, because all the characters were so boring, and everything was just so boring, and boring. And Victor Von Doom's trying to take out the world made no sense whatsoever. So it wasn't like, oh, there's really no stakes. It was more like, why would he do that? I don't understand, because what he says and what he does don't really have anything to do with one another.
Was very incoherent, because, like, it was kind of like they were trying to tell a bunch of different stories at once. The first, like, okay, Reed Richards wants to have his work make a difference, and he wants to be the hero scientist, and at the same time, Franklin Richards wants to discover a new world so that he can, we can discover new energy sources and something. The military wants to, Franklin Storm, whatever.
Franklin Richards.
That's how little I care about the characters in this movie. I can't remember. I don't care about getting their names right. The military wants to exploit the Fantastic Four and the teleporter, and they're assholes because of that, and they want to turn the Fantastic Four into Black Ops assassins, and Doctor Doom wants to destroy the world because, fuck it, we want to go for the hat trick. Yeah, we want to go for the hat trick.
He wants to be left alone.
Well, the go back. The thing about Doctor Doom's cat made perfect sense is that his actions make no sense. When he gets brought into, like, the project or whatever, it's like, I don't want to be a part of this because I know what's going to happen because bureaucracy and blah, blah, blah. And I'm still going, why don't you have a European accent? Anyway.
Oh my god, his inconsistent accent is definitely a talking point.
Yeah. And so, like, he was always like, well, maybe, we destroyed this, we've endangered the planet. Maybe we should just let it go and die, and we'll have this new world and whatever. I was like, okay, this is weird. And at the end of the film, when he actually becomes Doom, he's like, I'm going to destroy your world now.
Even before
because
that,
you're dicks.
He was going back and forth. He would literally say, maybe this world needs to be destroyed. Maybe we don't deserve to live. And then literally in his next breath, he would go, we're going to be fucking millionaires with this, guys. Like, seriously.
He was so inconsistently written. Like, his character made no sense. And I guess we can talk about characters now, because that's what we're doing. He was all like, this world sucks and I'm gonna go live in my own world, but now for some reason I'm mad at you and I want to destroy your world. And we're like, could you please make up your mind and also have a consistent accent? Because he would very occasionally have a tiny hint of an accent in some scenes, but only some scenes, and yet they went out of their way to point out that he was from another country by making a Nazi joke. And yet he has no discernible accent or any kind of real foreign look to him at all. And I'm like, well, what was the point of him being from another country if you're not actually going to make him from another country?
This sort of brings us to a question I've always had. Brian, is Latveria based on any real nation of the world?
I have to go back. I know it's a fictional nation. It's isolated. It's European. I think they have it surrounded by, like, in Marvel's world, it's surrounded by Hungary, Serbia, and Romania. Like, so I don't think it's actually based on a country more. It's based on the area it exists in.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
It makes more sense than anything else that this movie does.
That's cool. They have a great flag, though. You should really see their flag. It's amazing.
I guess and this is sort of a problem that I brought up when Jurassic World, in our Jurassic World review, it's like I didn't know who the real bad guy was supposed to be, who the real villain was. I mean, because for the first part, Doctor Doom comes in and is like, oh, he's going to be the bad guy, cool, and then he kind of disappears when they go into the other world, and he gets bathed in the high sea ecto cooler stuff. which I'm now convinced.
I'm assuming that was supposed to be the gamma radiation, or not the gamma radiation, the cosmic rays that give them their power. Now I will go back to the
But
story.
we'll go with gamma.
Yeah,
No,
I'll go back to the story. I know a lot of people were upset they didn't get the fly into space, but I'm not upset with that because when they first debuted, like I said, back in 1961, what was going on in 1961? Space race.
Yeah.
So for this character, and they sort of tapped into that. Modern times, as much as we love space, everyone loves space, it's not as exciting anymore. So the idea of interdimensional travel to another planet was it Planet Zero? They eventually named it. Weirdly, it still sort of works with Fantastic Four because Reed Richards was the guy that I think found the negative zone, which I think this is supposed to, giving this film a lot of credit by saying this. This is supposed to be the negative zone, because it doesn't exist anymore because it blew up. Spoilers. But, like, that didn't bother me. But these characters are just the most bland version of all these characters. Like, Mr. Fantastic did not live up to that name whatsoever.
Yeah, but anyway, going back to what I was saying about the script, it couldn't make up its damn mind. Like, 1 minute it's like, okay, Dr. Doom is the villain. Okay, now it's Weasley corporate guy who wants to steal their work for them. Now it's Weasley corporate guy plus the U.S. military, and Dr. Doom is back, and he wants to destroy the world. So now he's the villain, and it's like he's like, make up your mind, movie. What story are you trying to tell here?
The movie is the real villain.
No, the villain is the asshole. The real villain is the asshole at concession who charged me $15 for fucking cancer nachos and a hot dog that is made from parts of the cow that I cannot mention on a family program.
I feel like that's your own fault for doing that.
Yeah, well, I hadn't eaten, so
I had to balance out the brain numbing with calories.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go into a movie like this with an empty stomach, and if that means eating a cancer hot dog, then so be it.
Now, I have heard things because the film is so bad, the studio and the director are trying to place blame on one another.
Oh God, is this going to be the film equivalent of Aliens: Colonial Marines? Is that what's going on here?
Maybe just to make, because the director was like, no, it's all their fault because they meddled in it, they changed my story, they made me cut things, blah 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 blah. And the studio was like, no, your movie was just shit. We tried to save it, didn't work. We're still committed to the characters. That's gonna last a week. That's how long that commitment will last, I guarantee.
Well, especially with the rumors I'm hearing that they're scrapping the sequel to already plan a Deadpool movie.
Or the Deadpool sequel, you mean? Because they already have the movie.
Yeah, which I was like, wow, that's how badly they want to wash their hands of this movie, that they're already jumping on board, that they're already drawing up plans for a sequel to a movie that's not even out yet.
But I don't want to just harp on just how bad it is, but it is. And going back to all the actors, it's just... everyone was so bland. I couldn't believe it. Like, not even like Michael B. Jordan could save the film. Like, even his Human Torch was just so angsty and ugh.
Oh my God! Can we talk about how much I didn't want to see like parent-child angst in a superhero movie more than we've already seen? Like, I was watching it going, first off, a car race does not action make, because I felt like that's what that was there for. The Johnny Storm getting in a car race was there to pump up the action because the movie was so slow. And like, we need some action in this part. We're going to have a car chase scene. And except instead of a car chase scene, we get a couple of seconds of Johnny Storm driving around and then his car almost blowing up.
We're going to get stormed by the Fast and Furious fans now.
Oh, no, because the Fast and Furious,
though.
after the third movie, the Fast and the Furious franchise gave up on underground racing and just became heist films or random genres. They realized, oh man, underground racing is really not that cool. All right, guys, we're going to go do other things with fast cars because that's cool.
Okay, so Cat's Point is proven doubly so then.
Absolutely.
Like, one dinky little few-second race does not an action sequence make. And it was followed by parental child angst. And a part of my problem with making these characters so young, I don't know, did that come from an arc in the comic books where they're all like babies? Because they are so young.
Maybe the Ultimate Fantastic Four, but certainly not the 616 Fantastic Four.
The Ultimate Fantastic Four were younger, but they weren't teenagers. They were still like college level. So they at least kind of were. Well, I was a stupid college kid, so that's probably not a good thing to say about that. But they were still adult-ish. This cast is super young. They're very much high school level, very much going into college, going into life kind of thing.
Oh my god. You know what I just realized just made this movie even worse for me as far as the writing? If you really think about it, Ben Grimm had no fucking reason to be in this movie. Literally the only...
Okay, yes, but can we finish talking about the ages first?
Yeah, we'll talk about this is what really... The first time when I saw the actors, and they got announced, and I kind of saw how young they were, I kind of went, oh no. Because what happens with young actors, or anything young, in any movie like this, is that we have to deal with teenage angst, and there it was. Luckily, it was only Johnny Storm, but you still got some of it from Sue and her father. Like, you have to go and find Reed. Why? Because the plot demands it. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Just do it with your science-y powers. Go! Go, my child. I am a talking motivational poster.
But with a really deep, bland voice.
They couldn't hire Morgan Freeman.
Right? So they tried, but then it was like a voice that would put me to sleep instead of soothing. It was just sort of boring. Yeah. Anyway, but is it just me, or is the whole child genius thing sort of getting kind of worn? Like, it kind of bugs me a little bit because real scientists, and maybe this is kind of a bad point to bring into a superhero movie, but like scientists and stuff work very hard for many, many years studying and experimenting and, you know, like learning through experience how to science. And for little children to come up and build this great gigantic thing inside the garage with no, you know, like Howard Stark to teach them how to do it, you know, it kind of bothers me that they're all child geniuses except for Ben, obviously, but they're all just fucking geniuses. And they just either don't apply themselves hard enough, or they just don't have the right opportunities to completely fulfill their, you know, their goals until they all meet up and they go to this Baxter whatever. And it just sort of bothers me because in real life, that would never happen. And I'm sorry, that is a really stupid point to bring up on the topic of superheroes, but I'm tired of baby geniuses. One of the things that I was kind of looking forward to, if I were to look forward to Fantastic Four, was, here's some grown-ups. Because I think a lot of the Marvel Cinematic Universe has established itself with grown-ups and not with teenagers. And by aging down the characters, it's sort of like you're aiming for a younger audience, but your audience isn't younger.
And in a way, you've also brought up what I think is sort of the major problem with this movie, is that you have to take the movie's word for it on a lot of things. Like this is basically, okay, this is happening, it makes sense, just trust us, the movie. Like, yeah. It never gives an adequate explanation for anything that's going on. It just says, okay, this is happening, and you just got to take our word for it. Which I hate that style. I hate that. I hesitate to even call it a style of writing because it's not a style. It's just bad fucking writing.
It's a trend. We'll call it a trend.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a trend, and that's the thing. Even to compare to what happened in the comics when they debuted, they debuted as adults. They were all adults. They already had like pretty much backstories in place, and the whole idea was that Reed had been working on science for so long, and like the idea of the rocket ship going up into space was like when it was supposed to be his like magnum opus of years upon years of research and putting things together. Yeah, he was a super genius, but it takes a while to get things right. It still didn't go right because they got superpowers after it. But yeah, I agree completely. Like the child genius trope is starting to really wane thin on all the, and even in comic book movies, because you have a suspension of disbelief, but you have a suspension of disbelief for so long. And for geniuses, you know, they got, except for Ben, but Ben's supposed to be completely, they got, you know, talked into staying at the secret government organization for so long, like over a year or so, and poor Ben got sent out on like underground missions, has a kill count which sort of blows everyone's mind, blows my mind too, because Ben's not a killer, you know. The whole idea of Ben is like, yeah, I don't want to be this monster thing, but I'll use it to protect my family. And you hear that a lot with Fantastic Four. Family. They're supposed to be a family. Kind of like the Incredibles. Yeah, they're going to fight with each other and whatever, but they're a family and they're going to defend each other. And there was no family here. There was very much just children running around.
Can I leap off what you're saying about Ben and point out again that there was no reason for him to be in this film. He had no real arc, no character. In fact, the only reason he went in the teleport and got superpowers was because Reed Richards called us and said, "Hey, we're gonna go to another dimension. You want to tag along?" Like at least in the because I remember in the comics that Reed and Ben were like best friends for life, but in the comics, Ben was actually like a trained NASA pilot and had a legitimate reason to be on that mission, whereas this time around it was literally just like, hey, we're gonna go raise hell in another dimension, bring a six-pack and we'll have some fun. And that just makes the movie...
Yes, exactly. I feel like they kind of stripped his character out of any intelligence or merit at all and just sort of made him this thug.
I was hoping you were going to say thing. I'm like, tee
thing.
There's just like... And the thing is like this, this isn't... going back again to the no real risk. We've had movies where there was no real overall great huge risk, like the first Iron Man movie or the first Thor movie, where there was a bad guy and he had a plot, but on the whole it wasn't a world shattering we have to stop them now or else everybody's going to wind up dead thing. But the thing about those movies is that they served as character studies. There was a pathos to the characters, and we got to see them grow and evolve and change and adjust to their new circumstances, whereas the Fantastic Four, they were just kind of there.
Yeah, the characters didn't really grow very much, if at all. Like, certainly Johnny didn't, and Sue didn't, and Ben just got angsty, and Reed just got angsty, and there was no real character evolution at all.
I'm still trying to figure out Reed got from secret military base to Peru.
You want to talk about something that is really dumb? Is Reed abandoning his friends because he thinks he's going to figure out a way to fix all this. And, if they wanted to delve more into, he couldn't face his friends because of all this stuff that happens and he blames himself, and maybe he could sit down and have a heart-to-heart with them and we could have some emotional scene like that, then maybe that would have justified the whole, he ran off and moved to Peru for whatever reason for a year. But they never have that. It's sort of like you were my friend. Like, what? Please, if you're gonna go that route, then please do the right thing and have the character heart-to-heart moment. But they didn't.
There were a lot of and this was like a lot of the issues with this movie could have been fixed with just a few small additions, like the emotional heart-to-heart scene. The fact that we didn't feel like there was any real risk. This is something I said to Brian before we started recording. I need to see the screaming child. I need to see the dead bodies. I need to see the building blow up. I need to know that something is at stake. Literally, the only indication that we are shown in the film that Doom's plan has him and his immediate surroundings is this one shot of this mountainside highway, which apparently it's fucking rush hour because it's bumper to bumper stop traffic, and you see little ant people running around on the street. That's literally the only indication that Doom's plan has ramifications beyond what's immediately around him. So I think the biggest problem with this movie is there's no context. We have this film exists in a vacuum. There is literally nothing beyond itself.
Pretty much, and even then, like, I'm from top to bottom, like, we're gonna say this over and over again. It was just a bad film. And even though I'm a fan of Fantastic Four, I'm not gonna get my torch out, because I feel if I get my torch out to lambast this film, it's like acknowledging they actually tried to do something when they actually didn't actually do anything. So like, why should I be mad for your laziness? I'm not gonna reward you with an emotion because you gave me nothing out of this. You made me sit through this bad film without a riff tracks, mind you. Now we had riff tracks.
Now, there is one, and there's one, and precisely one nice thing that I can say about this movie, and that's that I actually liked the effect work they did on Doctor Doom, and I'll explain why. One of the scariest moments in film that I remember from when I was a kid was from Superman 3, where the one lady scientist gets yanked into the computer and roboticized, and that shit scares the hell out of me, like, even to this day. And that is what the effects job on Doom post-transformation reminded me of. And it looked legitimately, to me, alien and creepy and scary, which is why I'm also really so disappointed that the fucking writing wasn't behind him.
You are the only person, I want to make sure everyone who's listening, everyone in this room, write this down. Dr. Gonzo is the only person I have talked to, seen, met, who has liked this design of Doctor Doom. Because to me, this design of Doctor Doom, and this is probably the most ragey I'll get on this show in a long time, was the dumbest looking piece of shit I've ever seen for any... And I've seen a lot of shit comic book costumes. I'm telling you that right now. But holy shit, he was just kind of a little green and little silvery and tried to have a Darth Vader looking mask, but it didn't make any sense. He somehow, out of no fucking where, has a green hood on a planet that didn't have any fucking fabric stores.
I think the colloquialism I gave it when I first saw the pictures of it was, it looked like if the Matrix had sex with an Incredible Crash dummy.
Yeah, it's a stupid costume.
I didn't like it either. I mean, I liked, for the brief moment where you thought it might be the regular costume with the hood and the cape and everything, and you just see it from a distance and you're like, ooh, now we're gonna see, and then no facial expression, no movement, no nothing, like, you're supposed to tell me that's his face and not some sort of mask, but there is no expression or anything. It's just, I get a little flummoxed when the mouth doesn't move. It's kind of freaking me out, actually. And then the green eyes, I didn't like the effects on it at all. Like, no, I just, it didn't chill me, it didn't scare me, it didn't intimidate me, it just made me go, oh, you wish you were Ultron, don't you?
Also, he's a magical way of healing himself, because when you first see him, he's limping, he's like, oh, I'm tired, I've spent a year on this foreign planet, and then he lays down on the bed, he's like, oh, I'm rested, I feel great again, I blow up your head, I blow up your head.
Can we talk about his completely erratic powers that don't really seem to have any sort of boundaries to them?
Nope. I mean, we want to talk about it, but no, you're correct, he has just really erratic powers. Now, it could be like the power cosmic, which is a power that exists in the Marvel Universe, which has no rules and no boundaries whatsoever. But he's never, like, the only time he's ever had the power cosmic is very rarely. He abuses them and gets them taken away.
Yeah,
But this was just like, I'm going to be a scanner, if anyone's seen that movie.
I don't understand what his powers are. There doesn't seem to be any correlation between anything that he does. He makes people's heads explode, he moves around giant rocks and moves metal, and... like, I just think they wanted to make him as intimidating as possible without any explanation of what his powers are. Everyone else, they're like, ooh, this is visible light manipulation, and he can set himself on fire, and this guy stretches a lot, but, like, fuck Von Doom, he just does whatever the hell he wants.
Well, here's the thing about Dr. Doom as a character, and I'm certain that what I say next, Brian will back me up on. The thing that makes Dr. Doom such a dangerous villain in the comics is his intellect and the resources that he has, the fact that he has the resources to do what he wants to do. He is the legitimate ruler of his own country. He has an entire economy behind him, and he has the intellect to do very dangerous things. And it's very rare that he is caught flat-footed or unprepared. Whereas, not just in this movie, but also in the previous Fantastic Four films, they've tried to turn him into basically this sort of, monster sort of character, whereas in the comics, Doom is a Bond villain who has read the evil overlord list and gets his shit right. Brian, am I wrong?
A little bit. No, you're right. But every so often they like to give him god powers. My favorite alter ego of his is just God Emperor Doom, because I know for a fact he thought that of himself and was like, this is perfect. But no, for the most part, like, Dr. Doom's intellect matches that of Reed Richards. He's just sort of an evil version of Reed Richards, but instead of going completely insane, he kind of sits there going, if I do this, and I do this, and then I do this, everything's going my way. Like, he's one of the first villains to sort of sit down, think about what he wants to do before doing it, and then when he goes, well, that's a dumb idea. I'm not going to do that one.
Whereas Doom in this movie just struck me as sort of just, a crying child.
Well, if we want to make some sort of consolation, it's about the same, intellectual level as Reed Richards.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that, for something, they got that right. Unfortunately, just also, they're both stupid.
Also, love triangle. Unfulfilled, never brought back again, love triangle.
I don't know why the films harp on those so much. Like, they did it in the first film, too. Well, they did it in the first 20th Century Fox film. And I don't know what it... Because, yes, okay. One of the reasons Dr. Doom doesn't like Reed Richards is because he thinks... Well, he knows that Reed is smarter than him, so he's jealous. But he also had a thing for Sue for a while, because they were, at one time friends, and that sort of split them up. Fine. That happened, and they both got over it. Like... They're like, fine, guess what? Sue's with you. I understand. I'm who I am. By the way, I'm going to go rule this country.
And then it's Namor's turn.
Yeah, well, for whatever reason, the films love the fact they're like, all right, we got to have this triangle in. We got to have this triangle in. We got to really force this triangle in. I'm like, no, because we know how it ends. Everyone knows how it ends. Just skip that part. Start with them already married. That would make the film 100 times better.
Hence why they should have started as grown-ups instead of children.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? You know what I think would needs to happen in order for a good Fantastic Four film to be? I think they need to just skip the origin entirely. I think that if they're going to make another Fantastic Four reboot, which they're gonna at some point. If Marvel gets the rights back, that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to reboot it. Just skip the origin story. Have the Fantastic Four already be established. If you have to explain how they got their powers, do it like a short little throwaway thing. A little bit of exposition.
Montage,
but
real quick.
Yeah,
it worked well for
flashback.
Ant-Man.
But have them. Yeah, Ant-Man's proven it. Have them be established. Have them be adults, and make it so that they, that their intelligence, their actions, and their emotional wavelengths are all on par with what they're supposed to be, and not, Teenage Wasteland, the science fiction movie.
Well, let's play hypothetical. Well, and next couple of weeks it probably won't be hypothetical. Let's say Marvel Studios gets the rights back to the films, and Fox just gives up and says, screw it, we're just going to have X-Men and mutants. We'll just take control of that, because apparently that's our bread and butter. So, it won't happen immediately. It's going to probably, the earliest a new movie could happen is, 2019. You can actually have the characters exist already in that Marvel universe, saying they just haven't been the Fantastic Four yet, but you can always have Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Ben Grimm, and you could still have the origin story to go with it. But yeah, you can have them start at the adults, have them saying we've been around for a while, but we just now got our powers, we saw the Avengers doing cool shit, and hey, we can do that too.
Or, God forbid, they just play to their strengths and have, the Fantastic Four have been a secret all this time because they've been doing science stuff, hey, they've had powers for a while, but, the science people haven't sent them out to be active superheroes until all these other superheroes came out.
That could be true. That could work out as well.
But, do we really need to see a Fantastic Four origin story again?
No.
This movie's proven we don't. So,
well, seems that we had 4, or technically, we've had 4 films. One of them hasn't been released, but people can find it because the internet. I don't think another origin story is probably should work out anytime soon.
But anyway, we're winding down on time. So, final thoughts on Fantastic Four, the movie. Brian, let's start with you.
Well, Fantastic Four, the movie. That's how you sounded in my headphones.
Because that, and you know what, I would not be surprised if I go back and listen to the recording. That's actually how I said it, because that's how little respect I have for this film.
Yeah, just to reiterate, this is a bad movie. This is a bad comic book movie. This is a bad Fantastic Four movie. So all around the world, all around this thing, it's just bad, plain and simple. BAD, underline, italicized, bolded. What do I need to do? Comic Sans to make you look at it and hate it even more? There, it's Comic Sans.
All right, Kat, what about you? Final thoughts.
It's not the worst movie ever made, but it's certainly awful. And again, it's so boring. I really almost fell asleep at one point in time, and it has very little in the way of redeeming qualities. I think the actors were not bad. I think they were decent human beings, just in the wrong parts in the wrong film with a bad script. And it's like all these bad things came together and collided and, made this piece of garbage of a film.
You say that like the fact they were in this movie like impugns their character. Like, okay, yeah, they were in this movie, but you know what? They're really good people. They adopt puppies, they feed the homeless.
They seem like nice folks. Like, I'm sure they're in other movies that are really great, and I'm sure they're all like their acting is a product of the production and the director and all that other stuff. So I don't blame the actors for it, even though their characters were extremely boring.
And that Michael B. Jordan guy, seems like a guy if you ran into a bar, he'd let you have a beer with him.
Like, seriously, a consolation beer. Like, here, man, let me buy you a beer. I'm so sorry you're in that film. Let me buy you a beer.
My final thoughts on the film, it's such an interesting contrast that I went from Pixels to this film, because the thing is there's literally nothing here in this movie for me to get worked up over, because there's literally nothing to it. I don't even get the satisfaction of going into a frothy rage. It's just it's a movie. It's there, and that's all that can really be said about it. So, anyway, this is part of the show where we give our final rating on the film. So, as always, our scale from best to worst is see it now, wait for matinee, wait for DVD, wait for rental, wait for cable, don't even bother, and Brian's rating of fuck this movie. So, Brian, let's start with you. What's your final rating for this movie?
Don't even bother. Just don't worry yourselves over it. Just let it slip back into the consciousness and forget about it. So a couple years down the line, you go, hey, do you remember that second Fantastic Four movie they tried to make? Like, yeah, I do. Did you ever see it? No, never wanted to. That's what you want this film to be. Just sort of forgotten into the wastelands.
Okay, Kat, what about you?
I think if you are truly wanting to see this movie, wait until it's on TV and will be no doubt edited for time. So that means they'll trim at least some bullshit down for you. Otherwise, I would really not recommend seeing this. Certainly don't go see it in theater. Don't give this film your money. And that will speak volumes in the hopes that maybe they won't make any more of it. And hopefully, eventually, the rights for it will go back to Marvel and we can stop this particular studio with this nonsense, because they have to be stopped. They will keep rebooting it if we let them, so don't give them your money. But, if you're really genuinely curious, wait till it comes out on TV. But I know I have no reason to watch it ever again, so there's that.
Okay. And my final rating, I want to say, don't even bother. I mean, it's a bad movie, but it's not, bad enough that, it's not like a train wreck where, you don't want, you want to see it just to see how damaging it is. It's just, there's nothing to it, so just don't even bother. So, that's that. And that's all the time that we have for Nerd to the Third Power this week. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. We will see you next week. As always, I'm Dr. Gonzo.
I'm the Cat.
And I'm Brian.
All right, we'll see you next week. Taka, play us out.